Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Pastor Chad, lead pastor at Freedom Life Church, and we are talking about this last week's message. And this last week's message was a doozy, I will say, because a lot of people were trying not to complain after your message. And because they felt like if we complain about his message, then we're doing what he's telling us that we're not supposed to do, and thus proving him right, but we don't want to be a people who complain. And so anyway, it's that whole process. You were talking about complaining. You brought up the Philippians text in there, but your main punch was you were talking about the Israelites, how they were complaining about every single thing that the Lord was doing. And within the past few weeks, it's been the elephant in the room, honestly. It's we kind of talked about everything else that's been happening, and we've mentioned that they complained, but we didn't really actually talk about it until this last Sunday.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up here in the follow-up that you didn't really talk about there?
Well, it's not only that we just mentioned it, but we never dealt with it. It literally was a punchline to kind of the overall joke. Like I made the joke like two weeks in a row when we're in this section, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Like I just made the statement like, oh, church people are different now, or whatever, good thing church people are different.
Yeah.
Oh, they're grumbling and complaining, 3 days after this miraculous move of God, rescuing of God through the Red Sea. I mean, can you imagine? And then 3 days after their eruption of worship, they're complaining. Oh, so glad church people are different. And that it became the punchline. And so the truth is that, I think you're right. It's been the elephant in the room for several weeks now, leading up to this moment, but it actually wasn't a sermon that we originally put in the plan.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't. We literally were going to just fly right past it and just kind of let it stand there as an understood, like, yes, they're grumbling and complaining, and then looking at what God's showing them in God's response to their complaining. But then in the week leading up to this past Sunday, I was just like, the Lord really pressed it upon me to go, we need to deal with that. And he took me to the text, which is interesting because, and I think maybe that's why he was kind of stern in me, because he was like, you just had the opportunity. I was just speaking in our student ministry like about a month ago on that text because the student ministry is in the book of Philippians right now, and I was asked to come in and speak on that. It was in my section of scripture that I was teaching on. And so it's almost like the Lord just reminded, like, go back to think about this. Think about what I'm saying, right? Think about what I'm having the Apostle Paul write down about grumbling and complaining. And it became so huge. It became less of a punchline in my heart, and it became more of a, oh my God, we're gonna have to do something with this.
Yeah.
Because the gravity of it, I wanted the gravity of it to kind of come front and center, because the Apostle Paul, through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, is writing the weight of this, the gravity of this, that if you don't control this area of your life in regard to grumbling and complaining and disputing, that's one of the words they use, is that because they're quarreling with Moses in this moment. So there's this disputing and quarreling in this back. If you don't get that right, the hope to be the light in a crooked and twisted generation, the hope for that is lost. And so I was just reminded of that, and went, we've got to talk about this. We can't just move past chapter 17 and then just get into all the other stuff. We're going to have to stop, and we're going to have to look at this. And so when I was on the stage and I said, we're adding another sermon, like I literally mean, we're adding another sermon. Like we have to add it here. And that's just one of those, I think, God's grace working in that moment. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
That it's good for us to plan. It's good for us to have a direction. It's good for us to pray and think through that for months and sort things out and pray together and look and talk together and look at it. And so it's good for us to do that. The Bible is going to say we should do that as pastors, as a church, digging into the scriptures. We should plan and we should study and we should be ready. But we should also have in balance to that a willingness for God to go, no, let's look at this.
Yeah. It's the conviction of the Holy Spirit who brought the sermon around.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was, and I thought it was perfect timing. Honestly, I thought it was perfect timing.
Sure.
It's amazing how God in His perfection does things like that.
And so I don't really know. I don't know what happened between the prep work of it in that sermon. I don't know if we just missed it somewhere along the way or whatever. But that's of no consequence to me. I think the main thing would be is I wanted to be obedient in that moment for us to stop and look at that. And again, you're right. Felt very timely. It felt perfect for the moment. Yeah. And then the Lord was really good to us and then spoke a lot of really good things to us. It's an uncomfortable topic, but I think it's a topic that tends to be a little bit pushed to the side when the Apostle Paul in Philippians is going to kind of bring it to the top. And a lot of it is related to what's happening to the Israelites in these moments. And that's the reason why I think God is having that being communicated in Exodus over and over and over again. They're grumbling, they're complaining, they're grumbling. Even if you go back to the original kind of the when God breaks in, what is it? I'm hearing their cry, I'm hearing their grumbles, like I'm hearing their moaning, I'm hearing all of this kind of angst in them. I'm hearing that, and then even later on, I'm hearing their grumbling. I'm hearing. So God's attuned to what's happening. And so I think it's important for us to look at it from that perspective. And so I really am. I'm glad that what we did, is what we didn't pass by it. Yeah. But we allowed ourselves to understand the weight of the Christian life being, don't be a complainer. Don't be a grumbler. Yeah. Because the world's not impressed with that. Yeah. And so anyway, I don't know that I have anything like to add to it that maybe we left out, because I really felt like we were kind of on point and communicating what we wanted to. So.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. There wasn't that many jokes that morning, as the people noticed.
It didn't lend itself well to that. But it's funny because you mentioned it, and I think the week this whole week I've already gotten a lot of that. Right, I've already gotten a lot of just this. I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain, because people will catch it. And I'm like, and it's fun. So we've gotten a chance to laugh after the fact and kind of go, if, we're noticing our moments of, I think it's made me more aware of even just little moments of, I want to complain. I want to go straight to complaining. I want to go straight to grumbling. And I think, so kind of almost being playful with it after the fact is kind of fun, but the reality is that it's showing us, no, we really do complain more than we think we do. Yeah, because we complain about little things,
I complain about everything, I feel like. Yeah, and so
I mean, you go through the drive-through and they don't move fast enough for you. You catch a red light that you didn't want to catch. You think about all the Wi-Fi's out.
Every single thing that you just mentioned, I thought of a situation where I'm like, I'm at Whataburger. Oh, I'm on Mason Street. Oh, I'm, and I'm like,
and you're just going, this is crazy.
I complain about everything.
And we find ourselves complaining about all little things, but what that does in us is that creates a complaining heart, a grumbling spirit, to where then when big things happen, oh man, we slide off into that ditch so fast. Right. Because we typically complain about stuff, my latte's too cold, or whatever. Like we tend to lean towards complaining about the small things. So when we hit a big crisis or when we hit a big moment in life, it's easy for us to slide off into that. So we're conditioned that way.
Right. Well, one of the things that you mentioned during the sermon, and I want to make sure that I'm phrasing this right, was was that you mentioned that the Israelites were complaining and grumbling, and you even mentioned that they were disputing with Moses and stuff like that. And at one point Moses was like, wait a second, you're not complaining against me. Your complaint isn't against me, it's against the Lord. And stuff, because the Lord is the one that brought us into that situation, which we could see that clearly in the text, that the Lord did bring them into that situation. He did make them wander around. He did. So I think that's very evident. Now, my question is that little story, is that a universal thing? And what I mean by that is that something that we take today, and we're saying that in every single situation that we're in, whether good or bad, and usually people only grumble whenever it's bad, but good or bad, is it the Lord who brings us into that situation? And if so, every single complaint that we bring is not against our situation, but it's against the Lord. Is that evident? Is that true for today?
You want the fast answer?
Do you ever give us the fast answer?
The fast answer is yes. That would be the fast answer. And I think we all probably land on different spectrums, but I think that the way the Bible teaches because nobody argues God's sovereignty, they only argue the level or to the extent of his sovereignty. That's what they care about. Everybody will agree God's sovereign, but then it's sovereign over how much. That's always really the debate. Is how much is he sovereign over?
Right.
And so the U.S. has embassies all over the world, but in those countries, they're only sovereign over that piece of land. That's right. And so does God's sovereignty work that way? So in my heart, he has a little space that he's sovereign over. In my life, he's got a little spot that he's sovereign over. That's always the debate. We don't debate that God's sovereign. It's the level of his sovereignty, the extent of his sovereignty. But I think the Bible is going to be abundantly clear that his sovereignty has no end. His sovereignty is not limited in any way, shape, form, or fashion. He owns all things, controls all things, is in all things. The doxology in the middle part of Romans, Paul declares, for from him, through him, and to him are all things. And then to him be the glory forever. That's the word of the Bible. That would be the message of the Bible on God's sovereignty is, look, everything is controlled by him. By him
holds all things together.
The Colossians text. I know we love that.
Yes.
God, that text is beautiful. He holds all things together. By the word of his mouth, it talks about in other places, that he and that he speaks all things, that he holds all things. Okay. So the Bible's abundantly clear that there is no limit to his sovereignty. It's not like it's some sort of limited in your life, what parts of your life is controlled by God and what aren't, what isn't controlled by God. That's goofy. The Bible would say all of it, all of your life is controlled by him. And so, but what that means is that it's a lot like what we see in places like the book of Job, which we don't like. But that is, there is an allowing of God to let things go on, and he puts you in situations. He puts you in difficult seasons. He brings you out into the wilderness. He brings you out there, and you experience different things. And so things are allowed to be there. I think the enemy's at work, but even the enemy can't do anything to you. Even to the non-believer. Let's just be straight. The enemy can't even do anything to any person on the planet without the God of the universe allowing it to happen. Let's just be straightforward here. That's the way it works. But God brings us out into the wilderness. Now that encompasses a lot of different things that can happen into our lives. Yes, we do live in a broken, sinful world that has a lot of wickedness, a lot of evil that runs rampant. But who can stop? God can stop that in a second. But there's something in his grace, there's something in his purposes, there's something in his design that he's allowing that stuff to happen right now. He's allowing that stuff to unfold, and And so, yeah, I think every circumstance that you end up facing, because of our understanding biblically of the sovereignty of God, every circumstance, every situation, every problem, every issue has come through the hands of our sovereign God.
Yeah.
But see, that should give us comfort, knowing that nothing has come into my life that God's like, what in the world? How are we going to handle this? How did this happen? No, my God knows what's going on. He knows what's happening. He's the one that is leading me. All right. It's that Psalms 23, it's though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil because I know you're with me. But who put you there? Right. Who led you there?
Right.
The shepherd. That's the whole essence of the deal, is how'd you get led there? You got led there by the shepherd. He's allowed this path to work itself out where you end up in the valley of the shadow of death. And you set up a banquet table and eat in the presence of your enemies. But that's because you know he's there. Yeah. That's because you know it's my sovereign God. He's with me no matter what's happening, no matter the shaking that's going on around me. I'm a citizen, I'm a son, I'm a daughter in this unshakable kingdom. Right. So that's the idea. And so I think the short answer is yes, he does he does allow you to be in that situation, put you in that situation, lead you out into certain things, but it's all for the end goal of what we see in the Israelites, and that is, don't show contempt towards me, trust me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I knew that there's not going to be any water out here, but, and I think it's one of those things where, because part of the essence of your question is, so can we not say anything? So we're just supposed to just go, no, I think it's okay for us to express ourselves towards God. Yeah. But if we come humble to God with our issues, even with our complaints, and that's the essence of the problem. They're going to Moses and going, how dare you? And he's like, don't talk to me. Yeah. You need to go talk to the one who's actually brought you out here. Mm-hmm. And that's to God. Go talk to him. Yeah. But it's when we lack humility, it's when we lack a love and trust for Jesus in our lives. Mm-hmm. That's when we show contempt for him. That's when we communicate to the world that my Jesus is irrelevant. Yeah. Because I won't go to him when issues happen. Mm-hmm. I'll just talk to all of you about my miserable life or this miserable situation or this hurtful situation even. Maybe this difficult, it's real life, it's real stuff, it's real things, but that's the point. We have a real relevant Christ. Yeah. Real relevant God who knows exactly where we are and is wanting to deal with that. And so I don't think God's worried about us coming to him with some complaints or some concern. You see that in the book of Psalms. You kind of see the psalmist kind of work that out in his life. And so God's not worried about you bringing issues to him. Yeah. That's not the point. The point is, how are you coming to him? Yeah. Because I also know Job comes and lacks humility before him at one point. Mm-hmm. And God's like, I mean, who hung the stars? Did you do that? He's like, are you really? This is the way we're going to go here? Well, gird your loins, son. Because I'm about to talk to you about some things. And so, we want to come low. We want to come humble before God and say, God, I don't get what's happening. I don't understand this. I'm hurting right now. Like, I think you can communicate that to a loving God. Yeah. And what he'll do is do like a good dad, bring you close and go, it's going to be okay. I know where you are. It's going to be okay. I'm with you. Yeah. Trust your Father. Mm-hmm. Trust your Heavenly Father with this. And so it's meant to get us out of ourselves, out of our pride, out of our arrogance, out of our, I want to do my own thing, out of my, it would be better if I just go back to my old life. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the essence of what we've been talking about. Yeah. And it's meant to move us into him, to go, he's my only hope. Mm-hmm. Life's going to hurt sometimes, but I know that it's come through his hands, and so he's allowing this in my life so that I might be shaped by him, and so that I might lean into him and find my comfort in him and find my hope. All right, so it's in God's sovereignty that yes, he does take you through that kind of stuff, And it's not that you can't vocalize your displeasure
Right.
in the situation, but I think it's the attitude of your heart. Come low, come humble, and go to God. Mm-hmm. And begin to lean into Him. Then all the world will see, when they see you, they'll see Him. Because they'll see you leaning into a power
Right.
that's not your own,
Right.
a strength that's not your own,
Mm-hmm.
a comfort that's not your peace that's not your own.
Yeah.
They'll see that in you. And that will speak to the crooked and twisted generation and let you shine like a star. Shine like lights in the world. That's what helps you to do that, is when you don't show contempt for God, but rather you show contentment in God.
Yeah.
And that's different when you lean into Him.
Right.
Cast all your cares is what Paul will say later. Or I guess, later in the book of Philippians. Cast all your cares. Well, what is that? Talk to Him. Throw your cares up to Him and go, this is where I'm at. I'm hurting. I don't get this. I don't understand what's happening. I don't, what are you doing? But cast it to Him.
Yeah.
Roll out your cares to Him because you know that He cares for you.
Yeah.
And then find contentment. So it's not being contempt to God, but it's a contentment in Him. Mm-hmm. And that's really where you want to land. So
I think in every situation that we're in, whether believer or unbeliever, the Lord is just trying to show Himself to you and stuff and draw you in. So I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good. I think it's the sermon was well timed. I thought even the message itself just needed to be said and stuff. And obviously the Spirit led you to share that. And so it was very good. And I think a lot of people enjoyed it. Well, maybe not enjoyed it. That's probably the wrong word. They probably needed it. Yeah. And then we had a good response afterwards. So that was very good.
It is good news to know that our situations are not arbitrary.
Yeah.
Our circumstances are not.
It's not by chance or.
The
Lord's always leading us.
It is good to know that even in the hurtful moments of my life, God has a purpose and a design to bring Himself glory. And to let me see His glory and let me move towards Him. And that's His love that's working. And so I'm hoping that people walked away with that understanding.
Yes.
That, yes, don't complain, but that there's because there's a purpose in it. Rather than complaining, move towards Him, you know, and let Him hold you, let Him take care of you. So anyway.
Very good. If you happen to miss the message, you can go to freedomlifechurch.net and you can check out the message. I think this one was audio only, so we apologize for that. And so you can just go there, check out this message, put in your headphones, and just listen to it. I mean, it was a good sermon and stuff. I think one of the things that I've been really encouraged by is that we've had certain members of our church say, "Hey, I'm sharing the sermons with other people," and they've really appreciated it. Yeah. And so feel free to share any of our sermons with any of your friends. Share them on Facebook or whatever social media platform that you use. And we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you.